Space doesn't have a smell. That's the first thing they never tell you when you sign the deep station contract. On Station Vila, the air is recycled, scrubbed, sterilized until it forgets it was ever air. It tastes like cold metal and the ghost of yesterday's breath. The food dispensers call it nutrient optimal. They flash happy colors and say the paste is teriyaki flavored, or stroganoff, or birthday cake. It isn't. It's just warm. It's just enough. It keeps your cells replicating. It keeps you working. It does not keep you human. It does not remind you that you are alive. My name is Luna. I'm the only human engineer assigned to. Deck 7. I fix the grav plating when it stutters and throws coffee mugs at the ceiling. I recalibrate the waste recyclers when they start smelling like regret. I sleep alone in a quarters unit the size of a cargo crate, wedged between a humming power conduit and the hydroponics access shaft. I've been here for 2 years, for months and 11 days, and tonight, I decided to stop surviving. Tonight, I decided to break 3 station rules. Rule 1. No organic imports without full quarantine and xenobiology clearance. I smuggled them anyway. 1 bulb of garlic wrapped in my spare work socks and tucked behind the emergency coolant packs. A half stick of real butter, sealed in a vacuum tube and labeled as dielectric grease. 3 cherry tomatoes I grew myself in the hydroponics access shaft where the cameras dan. T-point and the drones don't sweep. I planted the seeds 8 months ago. Earth seeds. Illegal. Treasonous, depending on who you ask. Worth it. Rule 2. No open flame devices outside of designated engineering bays. Fire risk. Atmospheric contamination. I know the lectures. A heating coil isn't a flame. It's just electricity that gets very, very passionate about thermodynamics. The quartermaster would write me up for that interpretation. I don't care anymore. Rule 3. No cross-species food sharing without a completed Form 87B in a xenobiology waiver. Contamination risk. Allergic reaction risk. Diplomatic incident risk. I wasn't planning to share. I was planning to eat. Alone. At my little fold-out table. Like I have for 851 nights. I set the coil to medium. The oil hit the pan. It shimmered, and for a second I forgot where I was. Garlic went in next, and the smell. God, the smell. It didn't just fill my quarters. It escaped. It punched through the door seal. It crawled into the ventilation ducts and rode the recycled air through Deck 7 like a rumor. For the first time in years, this section of Station Vela smelled like something real. It smelled like my mother's kitchen on a Sunday morning. It smelled like rain on hot pavement. It smelled like Earth before I traded it for stars and a paycheck. It smelled like home. I added the tomatoes. They blistered and burst. I stirred, and I almost cried. I didn't hear the door sensor. Luna human? The voice was small. Processed through a cheap translator implant. Broken and soft, I turned. 3 of them stood in my doorway. Kryll cubs. Refugees from the Ash War. Their planet was glassed 3 years ago. The survivors were scattered across stations like Vela. Charity cases with trauma. They come up to my knee. 6 arms each, 4 on top, 2 smaller ones near their waist. Bodies covered in fur like liquid silver that changes color with whatever they feel. Right now, every inch of them was deep amber. That's their color for wonder. I read that in the Xenophile. I never thought I'd see it. In their upper hands, they held bowls. Not the standard station-issue polymer bowls. These were handmade. Carved from scraps of deck plating, from discarded conduit tubing, from broken crate panels. One had a clumsy sun etched into the side with what looked like a heated screwdriver. One had spirals, careful and endless. The last one was dented, cracked, held together with wire and hope. But the cub holding it cradled it like it was made of gold. The smallest one stepped forward. The residential manifest said his name was Tavik. He couldn't have been more than 5 in human years. Smell, he said. His translator buzzed, struggling with a language his vocal cords were never meant to speak. Smell like before. Before boom. Before skyfire. Before ships. Before cold sleep. His fur flickered. Gold and green. The colors swirled together. Hope and grief. At the same time, kid, I said, and my voice came out rougher than I meant. You can't eat this. Human food. It could hurt you. Your biology. I don't know. It could make you sick. I needed him to believe that. Because I only had enough for me. One bowl. One tired, lonely human's dinner. I had been dreaming about this meal for 6 months. Tavik didn't move. He lifted his bowl higher. His 4 little arms were shaking, but he held it steady. Grandmother, he said. The translator almost broke on the word. Made hot. In pan? Sang while. Smell like this. Not station food. Love food. Not full food. Love dash food. Not full dash food. My tablet was on the counter next to the salt I'd been saving for 3 months. I grabbed it. My hands were shaking too. I pulled up the Kryll dietary scan from the station database. Tomatoes. No toxic alkaloids present. Safe, wheat-based pasta. Complex carbohydrates. Tolerated in small amounts. Garlic, allium compound, intense. But non-lethal under 20 grams. Butter, high lipid content, but no known fatal allergens. I looked at my pan. One portion. I looked at Tavik's bowl. At the sun etched into the metal. At the way his fur had gone pale silver around the edges. The color of fear. Fear that I would say no. I looked at the other 2 cubs behind him. They were holding their breath. I made a choice. I split it 4 ways. It wasn't enough. Not even close. 3 bites for each of them. 3 bites for me. The pan was scraped clean. I knelt down so I was at their level. Blow first, I said, and I showed them. I brought my own bowl to my lips and blew across the pasta. Hot, they copied me. 3 sets of little cheeks puffing air with total, serious concentration. Tavik went first. The moment the pasta touched his tongue, his fur exploded gold, then deep ocean blue, then a shade of pink I've never seen on any spectrum, then violet, then green, then colors that don't have names in standard or English or any human language. Colors that mean safe. Colors that mean grandmother's lap. Colors that mean I remember the song she used to hum. Colors that mean I thought I lost this part of me forever, but here it is. The other 2 dove in. The room went quiet, except for the soft sounds of eating. The sound of small, desperate hunger being met. The sound of being full, not just in the stomach. Somewhere behind the ribs, somewhere deep, I ate my portion standing up at the counter. It was the smallest meal I'd had in 2 years. It was also the only one that ever mattered. Love food. Tavik whispered when his bowl was empty. He licked it clean with a small, pink tongue. His fur had settled now. It was deep, calm, endless blue. The color Kryll turn when they are completely, utterly at peace. The color of deep space without the cold. Tomorrow, he asked. He clutched the empty bowl to his chest, like it was armor. Like it was proof that this happened. I opened my mouth. I didn't have an answer. I had no ingredients left. No butter. No garlic. No tomatoes. My little hydroponics crime was a one-time harvest. I had no plan. Then my comes panel lit up. 1 message. Then 5. Then 20. Then 40. Deck 7 residential channel. Public. Everyone on the deck could see it. Kryll cubs. Tellarite pups with their wide night vision eyes. 2 little Rakari with their feathered crests flattened in hope. A Jaxian youngling whose people breathe methane. Even a Vexling youngling, and Vexlings don't speak to anyone. They don't socialize. They don't ask for things. Different species. Different translators. Different words, same question. Luna human, you cook again tomorrow? We bring bowl, please. Luna smell was good. Can have little? Luna maker was that earth food. Grandfather told stories. I stared at that list. 47 names. 47 bowls. I looked at my empty pan. I looked at my empty cabinets. Then I opened a supply request to the quartermaster. High priority. Personal requisition. Real flour. 5 kilos. Real yeast, salt. Not the electrolyte blend. Salt, oil, olive. If they have it, actual vegetables, onions, peppers, whatever they can. Source protein, not paste. Cuts the total cost scrolled onto the screen. It was my entire bonus for the quarter. It was half my savings. If they audit the order, it might be my job. My finger hovered over the confirm button for 10 seconds. I thought about Tavik's fur. That blue, that impossible, peaceful blue. I hit confirm anyway. They say humans are stubborn. They say we're loud and we're messy, and we pick fights with physics, and we don't know when to quit. They're right about all of it. But here's what they don't put in the galactic guidebooks. Here's what the xenobiology files don't explain. Humanity's greatest export isn't our warships. We build those, but we don't love them. It isn't our technology. It isn't even our music, though I'd argue with you on that one. It's this. We take hunger, and we turn it into a meal. We take ingredients, and we turn them into memory. We take strangers from broken worlds, and we turn them into family. One bowl at a time. We don't just feed people. We remind them they are people. The next morning, my door opened before my alarm. Tavik was there. He was wearing what I think was his best attempt at clothes, a little vest made from station fabric scraps. But he wasn't alone. Behind him stood 20 cubs, 6 different species, all holding bowls. Some were metal, polished until they shone. Some were carved wood. One was just a hollowed-out ration tin with a face painted on the side in yellow paint. One was a hubcap. Tavik stepped forward and held up his bowl. There was a new etching on it, next to the sun. It was fresh. The lines were still bright. It was a stick figure, with messy, wild hair sticking up in all directions. It was me, and behind the cubs. Filling the hallway of Deck 7 was the station quartermaster. Her arms were crossed. Her face was a map of every regulation I had ever broken, and she did not look happy. Rule 4 of Station Vela, which I had not read until last night. No. Unlicensed food distribution centers in residential sectors. I think I just opened one. My name is Luna. I'm a maintenance tech on Deck 7, and apparently, as of 0800 station time, I'm also dinner. If you liked this story, if you believe in love food, if you want to see what happens when the captain finds out, make sure you subscribe to Luna Cub Tales. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, because next time the Cubs unionize, the quartermaster brings reinforcements. And I learned that on Station Vila. The one contraband you cannot confiscate is hope. See you for episode 7. Bring your bowl.